Well, everyone, I now have the Pixel 7a, iPhone 14, Pixel 7, and the Galaxy S23 all in a line. This test has been going on for 49 seconds now, whatever, and this is a battery test. Now, I have all the batteries, I have all the screens basically at maxed out brightness right now. It may not look like it, but they are all completely maxed out. All the apps are cleared out in the background as well. So we are just going to go ahead and let all these phones basically die out and see how long it takes them for them to die. Now, my initial assumption, I think the Galaxy S23 is going to be the first one to die, then possibly the Pixel 7 or the iPhone 14. I think the Pixel 7a may actually end up being the last one to actually die. I also have a feeling, at least from what I'm seeing right now, the iPhone 14's display is the brightest as far as I can tell, then all the other ones, which is pretty interesting. Now, the way this is going to work, I'm going to let them basically be on their screen for a while. I'm going to have to play a video in the background because if I don't, then it's basically going to just dim the screens out and they'll just basically just sleep, which I do not want happening. So I'm going to play a YouTube video in the background on all of them. I'll check back in every hour or so and basically see what percentage they're at. So let's go and see within the next hour, essentially how much battery life they have left. So we are now at the 1 hour mark, and all I pretty much have done is just keep this same video playing in the background on all these phones. Now on the Pixel 7a, we are at 95%. The iPhone 14, we are at 93%. The Pixel 7, we are at 94%. And the Galaxy S23, we are at 95%. So far out of all of them, the Pixel 7a and the Galaxy S23 are tied in first place. The iPhone 14 is doing the worst, and the Pixel 7 is doing the second to the worst, I guess. So I will go and kind of keep them doing the same thing. I will just keep them on a video for another hour, and then I'll kind of switch it up. Maybe I'll go and load up a game in the background and let them kind of play nonstop and see how that goes. So we'll check back in at that 2 hour mark and see basically where we're at. Alright, it's been another hour, and we are at varying battery lives. The Pixel 7a is at 87%, the iPhone 14 at 79%, the Pixel 7 is at 84%, and the Galaxy S23 is at 88%, surprisingly. So the Galaxy S23 is actually at the number 1 spot, which is very interesting, but things are about to change. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hop out of all these applications on both of them, and I'm going to go ahead and load up Temple Run 2 now. So Temple Run 2 is not a crazy big intensive game, it's pretty basic as we all probably know of, but I'm going to go ahead and play this game in the background in all these specific phones, and I'm going to leave this video playing too because that is the only way they don't time out, and we'll check back in another hour. I think now we're probably going to see massive drainage. The iPhone 14 is still in last place. The Pixel 7a is doing better than the 7, but the Galaxy S23 surprisingly is doing the best. So we'll check back in another hour, basically see where we're at. Alright, so we are now at the 3 hour mark. Like I mentioned, they were pretty much just playing the same game, Temple Run 2 in the background of all of them. So let's go and see where they're at now. So they're at, again, varying battery lives. This battery comparison may be longer than I thought. Pixel 7a is at 69%. The iPhone 14 is at 63%. The Pixel 7 is at 70%, and the Galaxy S23 is at 74%. So this doesn't make any sense. After playing that game, it looks like the Pixel 7 is now doing better than the 7a. The iPhone 14 is still doing the worst, but the Galaxy S23 is still doing significantly better, but I don't understand how these flip. Now the Pixel 7 is at 69%, but that's honestly kind of insane. I will keep them running again for like another hour. I'll come back and see where they're at that point. But it's pretty insane that that kind of stuff just happened. These battery lives fluctuate a lot, especially I guess when it comes down to those games. So I'll load up the game again, see where they're at, and check back in another hour. Alright everyone, we are at the 5 hour mark. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but all these phones have been playing Temple Run 2 in the background with the video on for about 2 hours now. So let's go and see exactly where all of these phones are basically at. So currently right now the Pixel 7a is at 30%, surprisingly. The iPhone 14 is at 33%. This iPhone is at a higher battery percentage now than the Pixel 7a. The Pixel 7 over here is at 36%. The Galaxy S23 all the way at the end is at 32%. So we are at varying battery lives here. So far, the Pixel 7a is now doing the worst, which is pretty wild. The iPhone 14 is doing the second to the worst, or the Galaxy S23 and the iPhone 14 are basically in middle place basically, but the Pixel 7 is now in number 1 place, which is insane. I don't know how it changed like that so drastically. I guess we're going to keep a lock down and see what's going on, but that in and of itself is actually a pretty wild thing if you ask me. So I'll let them do the same thing in the background again for like another hour or two, And I think within the next 2-3 hours, we might start seeing some of these phones die, and maybe it'll be the Pixel 7a. So we'll keep it locked down and see what happens. Okay, we are at the 6-hour mark, and we are at varying different battery lives as well. The screen brightness changed a few times on some of these phones, so I did have to go and kind of adjust them, but I was pretty quick with it. The Pixel 7a is at 10%, the iPhone 14 is at 17%, the Pixel 7 is at 20%, and the Galaxy S23 is at 11%. As of right now, the Pixel 7 is number 1, iPhone 14 number 2, Galaxy S23 number 3, and then the Pixel 7a is in 4th place. So very interesting stuff. I'm going to go ahead and keep them again, basically on the same thing, playing Temple Run 2. I think in the next hour, the Pixel 7a is probably going to die, then the Galaxy S23 is going to die, and then these two are going to be left. So it's going to be very interesting to see kind of what happens there, but we'll go ahead and just kind of let them die out again and basically see where we're at in about another hour. Well, believe it or not, the iPhone 14 has just died, and now the Pixel 7 was the last one to not die, and this one pretty much at 1% right now, which is pretty wild. So out of all these devices, you can see the Pixel 7a died at 6 hours and 33 minutes, this one died at 6:31, the Galaxy S23, and then we had the iPhone 14 that basically lasted until about 7:15, 7:16. So realistically speaking, in my opinion, these phones kind of died around the same time. So within an hour of each other, they all kind of died, which is not a bad thing. I think that's actually a pretty decent thing. That kind of showcases that all these phones will kind of live around the same time depending on what you do with them. I did notice that during those bigger intensive games, so like Temple Run 2 with the video playing in the background, which is not that intensive at all, the Pixel 7a did seem to die out a little bit faster at that moment. Although the Galaxy S23 did die out fastest eventually, it's still kind of interesting that there was that bit of overlap. So out of all these so far, the Pixel 7 does look like to be the best battery-life phone out of all these, but I still think the Pixel 7a did pretty decent. I think the Galaxy S23 did pretty decent. I think the iPhone 14 did pretty good too. So I think that kind of covers this up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video.